Hey everyone, looks like we're live. Got Mel joining me. We are rescheduled from our last Thursday because of Biden's press conference, and it ended up being a little bit better to do it today. Um, Tomorrow's my husband's birthday, and I wasn't putting two and two together. But always good to be here with you, Mel. How are you doing?
I'm good. Happy birthday to your husband, and
Yeah,
I'm happy to be here. We're back from Africa and getting back on a regular schedule. I've got a crazy
yeah,
summer. Um,
that's right. I don't think we've talked face to face since you came back from your trip. How was your
yeah,
trip?
we haven't. The trip was incredible. It was amazing
Mm,
to see all the animals, and oh my goodness, I just love um, equatorial Africa, specifically Eastern Africa, like Uganda, Kenya, Tanzania. It's amazing.
I'm sure. You were sending photos, and it was beautiful.
Yeah, I didn't
I was a
know
little
there were.
jealous of everything going on here. I was like, I should have went on this trip with Mel.
I didn't know they were coming through at 3:30 in the morning because they're like 8 hours ahead of us.
Uh,
So I was still kind of with time lags. And what happens is in a lot of the safari camps, the internet is really sketchy and phone services as
uh-huh,
well. And some of them may
sure.
turn off the internet at night. So there you
Yeah,
go. So when the messages came through, it could have been who knew what time it was.
yeah. Well, we're glad that you're back and that you had a good trip. And obviously, there's a lot going on in the world to talk about. Um, I'm sure we'll probably be talking about the news that happened yesterday. I'll just say some of my hits, and I haven't really talked to Mel, so I don't know if he agrees or not. But I posted on my community board.
Well, just
Um,
let me preface it with this, if you don't mind.
yeah.
Um, I didn't hear anything about it, just an excerpt. I have not watched television. I haven't really gone into it
Hmm.
because then when you said, let's do this show tonight, I didn't want to be front loaded with any media or anything like that. I just want to
Yeah, going
have that
clear.
blank slate. Yeah.
Hmm. I'll just say that if you watched me last week, I was picking up something big about to happen. I'll just say the last few nights, I really haven't gotten much sleep. Um, so I felt like something really heavy was about to happen. Um, and I felt like right before and I think that the convention's going to be a mess too. But um, I've always said that um, when I tap into Trump's health, which doesn't feel great to me, I've always said that I feel like he may pass before the election. There was a bit of a question mark with that, but I felt like it was a possibility. I was always kind of pulled into the headspace and kind of just psychically tapping in. I've always heard like a pop in the head, and I wasn't sure if it was a stroke or an aneurysm. And I'm kind of thinking that maybe it was this attempt right here. Um, and I know that a lot of people were saying they thought it was staged. I'm not picking that up. I Others may be picking that up. I'm not really sure. I can just tell you what I'm picking, what I'm feeling into it. To me, it feels legit. Kind of watching the video after it happened. Um, to me, I felt Trump's energy definitely felt startled and very angry, and he was very angry because um, he was made to look weak. He was made to look weak, and so it was embarrassing for him. And so that's why I felt like he was doing all this inciting and saying to fight and the fist and all of that. Um, I don't know, Mel. What are you picking up from it?
Okay.
Let's my sense, kind of what I'm
Well,
picking up from
number
it.
one, my guides have been showing me for a very, very long time, for the last couple of years, dark clouds
Mhm.
around, I started to say
Yeah.
around Trump's head area. I don't think this was it. All right.
Hmm.
I had felt that somebody would make an attempt on his life, but I didn't go public with it because you got to be careful what you say publicly.
Right.
I certainly didn't want anybody knocking on my door. Not that
Hmm.
I'm that important, but whatever.
Yeah, we have to be careful, right?
Correct. Um, I still feel dark clouds around his head area.
Hmm.
And I think he does have to watch circulation, like for strokes or
Heart
something
even too.
organically going on in the head. Could be
Hmm.
coming from the heart, traveling to the head. Um, you know, um, it it something else. My psychic light bulb went on as well. And I've been talking about gun control safety in this country for years,
Mm,
and
yeah.
nothing gets done. And I've often said if that were Trump or one of his cronies, they'd be screaming about gun control.
Mm,
So let's see what happens with this.
mm,
Let's see how they start talking about gun control. And I'll bet you any amount of money, I'll bet you $1 to a donut that Trump is going to try to blame the Democrats for it.
oh yeah, absolutely.
Uh, and he's going to use this to gain sympathy. But, you know, in my opinion, my psychic opinion, you're right, Kevin, it's going to make him look weak depending
Mm,
on how he handles this. Um, and I think there are people out there who would like a civil war.
yeah.
But for wanting that, they're crazy. And I think
Mm,
I think some of Trump's camp wants that. And I don't think
absolutely.
anybody wants to live through a civil war. It would be horrible, absolutely
Mm,
horrible. Um, on a happier note, Biden's speech, my feeling is Biden was really, really good.
yeah.
He stumbled over a few things. Any of us would. He pretty much came out and said about, seeing a neurologist and this and that. But that's what I disagreed with him on. Oh, I'll see a neurologist. I would have said to the people, nope, my doctor says, and I'm going with that. And I'm as sound as I ever was. Um, but I do like the fact that Biden said he broke his foot, and that's what's giving him problems. So it's not that kind of neuropathy everybody thought it was. And I think he did very, very well. So I see him gaining in the polls, and I see Trump decreasing in the polls. It's
Okay.
still early. A lot can happen between now and the election.
Yeah.
So, uh, Trump will blame everybody, and it's just going to make him look that much more ridiculous. And I think the fact that there was that attempt made, I think Trump's people are going to use it and spread disinformation and try to use it for Trump's gain. But I do not think it was staged. I'm not feeling that at all.
Okay.
I
Yeah,
mean,
and
everyone intuitives
go
might
ahead.
say something differently, but I'm not going
Mm,
to read on what they say. I'm just reading on what I feel intuitively. And I have not watched anything.
right. Well, we can only share and say what we're feeling, right?
Correct.
Um, it's interesting because I agree with you. I do think kind of going into the convention, Trump and the Republicans are going to go on attack mode and really try to ramp up, um, you know, incite violence. I see some of that, even some protests, but really trying to get the base all worked up. Um, it's interesting because typically I think something like this, there would be that sympathy there and somebody's polls and their numbers would go up. But I think because of how Trump and Republicans react to this, sure, their base may be all gun ho and all for it, but I think it's going to turn a lot of people off. I really see it kind of backfiring. Um, and a big judgment because it's like he's already caused an insurrection and now he's trying to do it again, right?
Exactly. So obviously, all that criminal charges, that were brought against him because of the Supreme Court decision. But Trump's not
Mhm.
president now. He's giving his middle finger to the justice system of this
Yeah,
country, and that is not going to fly. Had that been you or I, we'd have been locked up a long time ago for a very long time. So
hmm,
he's not immune from prosecution, and a future court will overturn the decision of this court. And a lot of the stupid, idiotic decisions this court has made because they're up Trump's you know what.
mm.
Uh, and I don't want to go to YouTube jail.
Right.
I'll give you three guesses as to what I meant by that
Mm.
without Vaseline. Thank you. Um, anyway, um,
I'll just say though, I agree with you too on Biden and his press conference last Thursday doing very well. He had a couple stumbles, but he really took his time, was very clear and articulate, and I think we all kind of got a sense that he really knows what's going on in foreign affairs and foreign relations. So I felt like he did a very good job, especially coming out of the NATO summit. And I think even last night he came on right away after the incident, gave a brief uh, press conference, and really kind of stepped up and said that we don't condone any political violence, on either side. And I just felt like, he's a really stand-up guy, really respectable, admirable. We know had the roles been reversed, I don't think Donald Trump would have made a statement if this would have happened to Biden. And even Biden's came on today, and I think he's going to be on later tonight too. But I see I see Biden's numbers kind of going up, like you said. I don't think Trump is going to handle this situation well at all. It's going to turn a lot of people off.
Well, somebody says, Anna says, most of us stumble when we do public speaking.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Most of us do public speaking. I missed it again. They're going so fast. Let me see here. I'm trying to catch it. Here we go. There we go. Most of us stumble when we do public speaking. Now we're nitpicking when he speaks. I want to talk about that, Anna. I'm glad you said that. When I do my shows, I do a lot of those pauses. Biden did a lot less than I would do. That's for sure.
Yeah.
And the that
I do that a lot.
and
trying to get your thought though too, because we're juggling kind of tapping and going into the chat. There's a lot of energies that we're kind of dealing with. So sometimes it takes a moment to really kind of get what you're feeling and get that clear thought, right?
Yeah, and from it's a lot.
Yeah.
So, but the bottom line is, as much as I hate to say this, there are a lot of Republicans who do not want Trump as their nominee, but they're not going to come out and publicly say that because, risking their political careers.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm not paying tribute to the Republicans, so everybody please don't write me and send me nasty emails because I will delete them. But I have to say that for a nanosecond, as much as the Republican Party is imploding, for a nanosecond, they've gotten their heads together behind their candidate. Nothing, even when he was convicted of 34 felony counts, they did the spin and diverted it. The D's we talk about. Here they are. Deceive, divert, detract, divide, destroy, and be duplicitous.
I like to do this.
I just added that.
You did add that.
That's what they do. Whereas the Democrats, on the other hand, he should step down, he should do this, blah, 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 at least part of them. The other part were like, no, we want our candidate. So the Dems have to stick together if they're going to win this election, period.
Yeah.
Period. And my guides have shown me, my light bulb has gone on, and we've talked about this, that Putin and the misinformation and the Trump misinformation team planted those seeds about Biden stepping down, blah, 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 and leaked it over to somebody who's a so-called Democrat, and it got that ball rolling. Well, I see that ball being stopped. Biden ain't going anywhere.
Yeah. The interesting thing is that this is going to cover the news for a while, I think, which just happened yesterday. I kind of feel like there is a bit of infighting in the party up to the Democratic convention, I think next month, in August, middle of August. But I see us coming together after that convention. Like I said, and I see like a huge momentum of getting everybody together, getting this energy going, because there's so much at stake. And I think that some of it is, the news media, are all owned by, rich Republican Trump donors. And so they want to kind of focus in on that because we know Trump has his gaffes too when he speaks, confusing people, but nobody's focusing on that. I would say that even the same thing too with Biden. He's accomplished so much and the news doesn't give him any credit towards that. But I think it all comes from fear. Democrats are kind of freaking out to see because they know so much is at stake. And so I know everybody's very angry at the situation. And I get it, none of us want to replace Biden on the ticket. But I do kind of see us all having to come together too at some point.
That's it. I think It's like my guides told me, and I keep telling everybody this last year when I had cancer,
Mhm.
don't let the fear stand in front of you and hold you back. It will paralyze you.
Yeah,
Let it get behind you and push you forward. So you're
yeah,
right. A lot of this is fear based, and we cannot let that hold us back. We must move forward. Trump doesn't have to do a lot of oohs and ahs when he speaks because he's too busy saying the same sentence 3 times. If you'll ever notice, Trump always will say something like 3 or 4 times.
yeah, and isn't very coherent with it either, right? I mean,
Correct.
and kind of just goes out there. I mean, what was it? A few weeks ago, he was talking about sharks and being electrocuted and all that nonsense.
I'm like, even on a bad day, Biden does better than Trump does on a good day. I
Mm,
watched part of that debate. The lighting was horrible. The microphone was off. Now that I think was a bit staged. I do.
mm.
Okay.
Yeah, like they were
And I'm
setting
not
him up to fail.
conspiracy at all. However, okay, Biden stumbled on a couple of things. Yes, he did. But at least he answered the question.
Right.
Trump never answered the question. It was always on some tirade. He was off topic. It was
It
that
was all lies. I don't
right,
think he's telling the truth. The whole debate.
correct.
Hmm.
So, in my opinion, even though Biden didn't look that great in the debate, in my opinion, he did better than Trump.
Yeah.
So, um, I mean, I saw somebody put in the chat that if, uh, what's to stop Biden from saying, okay, I'm declaring the election off? I mean, after all, he's got presidential immunity. It's presidential, right? According to SCOTUS.
Well, and not even just that. These MAGA Republicans are saying that Biden hired a hit job on Trump, and which, I mean, give me a break. But I mean, I guess technically, they're all upset. They're saying he should be arrested, and but he's got presidential immunity there, so it was a presidential act, right?
Well, the Secret Service, I think, is going to come out and say that that obviously say Biden had nothing to do with it. They won't have
Mhm.
to. They're just going to say, here it is. The perpetrator's been killed. And it was unfortunate that a couple other people were shot as
Yeah,
well. So my feeling is it was not staged whatsoever. But it's a prime example of how the media gets out of control. Because at first it was like the bullet hit his ear. Not. It was a
hmm
piece of shattered glass from a teleprompter.
yeah.
So
I was gonna say, and Patricia said, "No way, an AR pierced this ear." I think when I had posted on my community board, I said he was shot, but it was like just hearing about it and not really getting in. But I agree with that. If he was shot with an AR, um,
the side
you
of his
know,
head will be gone.
right, or his ear would be completely gone. You don't get just a clip with it because it has so much force with it. I agree. I felt like I don't know. People are saying teleprompter. I don't know if it was a teleprompter. I was kind of feeling like it was something metal, like a shrapnel or um, something kind of ricocheting and like getting him in the ear and cutting it. That was my hit.
Whatever. It was a piece of glass or something.
Something. It wasn't a bullet. Yeah,
Right. But it wasn't a bullet. Okay.
yeah.
Um,
And I
Gene.
think Trump came out and said that it was a bullet, and I think we're going to find out that it was not. If
Oh,
they
he's
have,
going to
if
keep
the news
saying it
hasn't
was a
already
bullet
split
or
it,
a piece of
yeah,
something, and
he
he's
did.
going to get corrected. And then he's going to start telling people, I was shot. I was shot. No, you weren't. But I think what Gene Johnson said here is really good. Has
Mhm.
T Rump put forward any showing of compassion for the audience member who was
Yeah.
killed and others who
I
were injured?
think he put in his post. He did kind of, but um, I mean, I think we all know
And
that
that's just
Trump
it,
doesn't really
kind of,
care.
because Trump is so narcissistic, he'll always make it about himself. Um,
Exactly.
but I'm curious. My guides are telling me to ask this rhetorical question as to
Mm.
what impact this will have for gun control. Now,
I
had
don't
that
know. I think we're near
somebody had
cricket.
somebody done that to a Democrat, nothing, maybe a mention of it, it would have been, but you know, I'm just curious now.
Hmm.
And my
I think
guides
we're
have
going to
told
hear
me
cricket in the
something like this
convention.
would happen to, you know, uh, and it's unfortunate, but let's see now what happens. I
Mm.
had seen somebody making an attempt. I didn't go public with it, but I did say publicly, if one of these shootings happened to one of those senators, MAGA senators, or a member of their party, let's see what they say about gun control. So
Yeah.
oh,
I
by the
don't know.
way, we've
I
got,
think we're going to go into the convention with cricket smell.
I think
I don't think we're going to hear them change their stance, unfortunately.
Linda G's in the house.
Hey, Linda.
Hi,
Good to
Linda.
see
She
you.
just gave us $49.99.
Oh, thank you, Linda.
Thanks,
We
Linda.
did get another super sticker too. Thank you, Yelly Man. Um,
Any donations tonight made, I will match, and I will give to. There's an organization in Africa. I can't think of the name of it right now, but our friend Justice, his name is Justice there, started this organization to deliver hot lunches to kids in schools in a certain part of Kenya. And
oh, nice.
it's a for real organization. It's not a scam. So this money will go there to help them grow food, and because they grow their own food, and also to help find clean water. So
Oh, I love that. Yelly Man just says, shocking that Secret Service allowed a sniper on a rooftop. Is President Biden in danger, and will the Secret Service get their act together?
I think presidents are always in danger. That's why we have the Secret Service. I guess somebody screwed up somewhere, but Trump would never blame the Secret Service. He'll blame somebody else, but he'll try to make it some kind of internal conspiracy against himself, and we'll see how that plays out. But I'm telling you, despite all the evidence, the people that are going to believe Trump are going to believe Trump. But I still don't see any. I don't see it being staged at all.
Yeah, I think we're going to hear about some of their shortcomings in regards to the security perimeter around the event, and so I think that they are going to ramp up even more security for Trump, for Biden. I do kind of, and don't want to put this out there too much, but I do kind of worry about the crazies on the other side trying to get some kind of revenge. I feel like Biden is going to be safe, but I do kind of feel like there might be a close call, and definitely have to put a lot of resources into security for our congressmen and women. And
we need gun control in this country.
yeah,
people shouldn't be allowed to have. And so much for Trump and so much for those MAGA Republicans. The only thing that stops a bad guy with a gun is a good guy with a gun. Oh, really?
Right.
If that's the case, then why didn't you, stop this guy who just tried to take Trump's life?
Yeah. Linda posted a good question. We didn't talk about this. Linda said, did you guys say, why do you think the kid did it? I'll just say, for me, my first hit was, I think he was a registered Republican is what they were saying. And I kind of feel like he was in that cult. Mentally he wasn't very well, but obviously, anybody that's going to do something like that isn't very well. But I almost felt like he was all involved, all in on Trump and MAGA, and something Trump did turned him off. And he was like, I felt like angry and like heartbroken with Trump. And that was kind of the motive, but with coming forward and doing the attack. It's like he was all in, all in the cult, all delusional and all in. And then like something kind of snapped that Trump did that really kind of, because I feel anger.
See, I see it a little differently. I see anger.
Mm-hmm.
But I also think it was somebody who was probably radicalized and registered Republican or MAGA. And I do think that they probably thought that maybe Trump wasn't being radical enough to meet that radicalized agenda, even though Trump was pretty radical himself. And I also think then there was paranoid delusion kicking in. And I think in the shooter's mind, they might have thought that this really wasn't Trump and it was an imposter and he's going to take out this imposter. So the real Trump could do his thing. I think there was a huge issue going on with paranoia and delusional thinking.
Yeah.
That's what I pick up. I could be
Yeah.
wrong, but that's what I
Clearly,
see.
he wasn't well in the head. Linda says she feels he wanted to start a civil war.
And
Yeah,
I
I
agree
agree
with
with
that
that.
too. He did want a civil war, but that was his delusional thinking.
Hmm.
Uh, and here I go with the again. Thank you, Mr. Biden. the he did. I think he had in mind to start a civil war. Absolutely. But here again, look how delusional that is. The frightening part of it is that there are people out there that want a civil war because
Yeah.
Trump has created that sort of anarchy, that sort of confusion, and that sort of xenophobia.
Mm.
And that's what we need to look at and stop. Like Trump is already putting fuel to the fire for an insurrection. And he'd better be careful because he's going to be charged again with trying to set up an insurrection. And this
Yeah.
time he's not president, and this time he won't have immunity. So I think that's a part of it, Linda. I think you're absolutely right on the money with that. But I think there are other things as well.
Absolutely. I just picked like there was a love for Trump, and then it kind of shifted, and there was anger. But still think he was part of the cult too.
I
So
do.
I get
And I
you
think that
on that.
maybe he thought that this wasn't the real Trump. Like people think there's imposters, and I don't know.
Yeah.
Uh, um, it's hard to get a grip on the guy's mind because it was delusional.
Hmm.
But I do think he wanted to start a civil war, which I do not see. We can be very close to one. So speaking of that, let's go to the Republican convention. What do you
I was
think?
going to say the same thing. I feel more chaos.
Well, I think it's going to be disjointed, very disjointed, uh, totally disjointed. And I agree, it feels very chaotic to me.
Mhm.
Um, I see some outbreaks of violence, but not as much as people might be thinking. It just feels like it's going to feel very disjointed and conspiratorial and
Exactly.
blaming everybody else. And ugh,
Throwing fuel on the fire is what I
correct.
just heard. That's what they're going to be doing.
Fuel on the fire for insurrection because Trump
Mhm.
is already setting this up. You mark my words, my guides tell me when he
Absolutely.
loses, he's going to try some more shenanigans.
The only thing about this thing that really, I mean, obviously, the thing that really gets me upset about it though is that Trump always wants to come across as this victim and this martyr, and that's what this event kind of did for him, in regards to his followers. But I agree. I feel like I actually feel it feels like that implosion that I've said before. We're going to start to see it from this event, is what I'm feeling. Like you have the MAGAs and the crazies all throwing fuel on the fire, and then you have some reasonable Republicans that kind of want to not kind of get this, you know, unleash Pandora's box. Is kind of the thing that I just felt. But I
That's
agree with you. It doesn't feel like it feels disjointed. I do feel like there is some protest or some aggression outside of the event.
Did you say Pandora's box?
Pandora's box.
That sounds like the name of a drag queen, doesn't it? That's what we should call Trump, Pandora's box.
Right?
That's what I'm going to call him from now on. Thank you, Kevin. Well, Pandora's box says, Garden Chicken put up a good comment here. I like it.
Dems trying to be kind, protective of our system. Other party seems chaotic, mad, filled with anger. We need to keep this difference front and center. Absolutely.
But
I
the Dems need to take a more an offensive approach. Like, here's what our candidate has done. Here's what we want to accomplish. Here's what we're going to accomplish. What did your candidate do? Get convicted of 34 felony counts. Hello?
Yeah, I agree. They need to kind of really work on punching that messaging back. It's a We have to be careful though too, because I know we all have PTSD from Trump, and he instills so much fear and anger in the masses, and we have to have that fighting, action kind of coming forward, but we also have to get to a place where we don't allow it to to match what they're doing. We don't want to lower our vibrational energy, and especially when things are so heated and divided as it is, we have to speak truth to power and really kind of you know get everything in line.
And when they talk about Biden having dementia, learn to spell it. That's one thing.
Mhm. Yeah.
Number two, Roxanne says Trump called Nikki Haley Nancy Pelosi and kept elaborating. Yeah, how many names did Trump get wrong? And they need to start. Wait a minute. You thinking Biden has dementia? Let's take a look at some of these video bites from Trump's speeches where he had the wrong
Yeah.
person completely.
Well, the thing with that though too is when Biden missteps, he corrects himself and he knows that he misspoke. When
Right.
Trump does it, he can't even hear that he did it, and that's a sign of dementia.
Right.
Is not being aware. I'll say though, I was going to say this. What really kind of disgusted me too is Nancy Pelosi put out a statement on X saying that as somebody whose family's had political violence against them, we're glad that President Trump's safe and we don't condone that, and really kind of putting a nice message. And then I saw Trump went on the attack saying that she said he was scared um, and really got nasty. That the thing is that um, I don't want to hear Republicans saying that Democrats condone violence, because wasn't it when Paul Pelosi, when he got attacked, we heard Republicans all making jokes and laughing about it. When Gretchen Whitmer was kidnapped, they didn't take it seriously.
Well, how about with all the shootings and what they did with gun
Mhm,
control? So they can't say we condone violence. We didn't start the
exactly.
insurrection. They tried to. So that'll come back and bite them in the face. But here again, I don't condone violence of any kind. As you well
Yeah,
know, Kevin, I did make some bad jokes about the whole thing.
right.
But I abhor violence. But I think rather than let's talk well, we've talked about Trump. How about let's send, and Garden Chicken, thank you so much for this. I think we need to send love and light to the families who lost a loved one
Absolutely.
in this event. That's tragic. And
Hmm.
I think, and even the family who, I'm not saying that the shooter, even though he might have been deranged and delusional and all that, but that family lost a child as well.
Mm.
And so that's the tragedy of all of this. So let's just take a moment to send love and healing energy and light to the victims, to the families of the victims, all of the victims.
Absolutely. I think for the whole situation, right? Send a lot of love and uplifting, loving energy.
And let everybody stand up, whether you're Democrat or Republican, and simply say, we have had enough of
Mhm.
this nonsensical gun violence. It is not acceptable.
Absolutely.
That's the
And like
message.
I said, I feel like the energy is going to be very ramped up for the next month or month and a half. Um, but I do have some fears of, you know, MAGAs attacking or violence.
I think Trump is going to play the part of the victim and the martyr in all this, as he always does,
Mhm.
but that's not going to look good. Um,
Yeah.
and I think he's going to really anger some of the family members of those who died as a result of this shooting, just like he's done before in the past. And they're going to come out and speak. They're going to come out. A couple might come in favor of him, but there's going to be at least one that comes forward and talks about how Trump's behavior after the shooting was unacceptable.
Mhm. Yeah, I agree. Do we
So,
want to take a look? Um, kind of going off of what I feel. Do we feel like Biden is safe, or
yes, I do. I see Biden being safe.
I'm going to throw a card or two on it.
Okay. While you're doing that, I'll put this up. Anna says MAGA is in lockstep publicly. That's one of their strengths. Well, they are in lockstep, that's for sure.
I feel Biden will be safe.
Oh, I can see your dog behind you. I just noticed it, Kevin. Oh, what
Yeah,
a sweetie.
he's taking a little nap.
Now, which
That's
one
my
was that
Finn.
one?
Finn.
He turned out to be an excellent dog, huh?
Yeah,
No,
he's
wait,
a
was
good.
he the puppy that was sick?
Mm-hmm. So he got a squeaker toy and had an obstruction.
Oh, what a cutie. Hi, Finn. He doesn't hear me. Like, leave
He's
me
happy.
alone. He's he has doggy downer.
I do feel Biden will be safe, but like I said, I feel like there's going to be some chaos or some plans there. To me, it feels like it's maybe um, state Democrats or even Democrats in the House or Senate, because you have the fool coming in, the immaturity, and people wanting to create a fight with the Five of Wands here. People having plans and strategy, some heartbreak, and then people coming together and like reviewing and analyzing the situation. Um, but to me, I definitely felt like Biden's security is going to be ramped up for sure. They're going to be very careful.
I think Peace Mama says it all. Peace, love, and light to all.
Yes.
That's what we have to remember. We can still hear our voices can be heard, and we can
Yeah.
stand up and fight, but do it for what's right and for what's good.
Yeah. Don't allow the fear and the anger to consume you.
And here's a really good one. Gina says, "I feel that by holding Biden to a higher standard, people are holding Trump to a lower standard," and that's very true.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And here's one more I think that we should look at. All good
Yeah.
names taken. I love that name.
Yeah. And that's what he really did during the event. And I see kind of continuing to really incite. He was yelling at his supporters to fight, and getting them all cheered up with that at the rally when they were taking him off. He was pissed.
And threw a Nazi salute, and then needs his shoes too. Where's my shoes?
Yeah. It's funny too,
Well,
because
what
I
does it
remember
tell you?
Susan Lynn. Susan Lynn got a message when she was tapping into Trump, and she got the specific message of him saying, "Where's my shoe?"
Oh, what does that show you when a candidate running for the president of the United States, uh, the likes of Donald Trump, when something like that happens, rather than to be presidential, he suspended his complete critical thinking and was just going on emotion and raised a fist and threw a Nazi
Mhm.
salute and said, "Fight."
Yeah. Well, we
What
know
does
Trump
that tell you?
doesn't use his critical thinking skills, Mel.
Well, he doesn't have any. But
Right.
but what does that tell you about the state of this country?
Mm.
It's
I
frightening.
feel like it's somebody that's very desperate, desperate for his own freedom, because his only shot at freedom and not being locked up in behind bars is to get back into the presidency, right?
And desperate people do desperate things.
Yep.
So we can't underestimate Trump. Don't do that. That's dangerous. You got to figure out his chess moves because he tells you what he's going to do, and
Mm,
then have a different chess move to get him in checkmate.
yeah.
And my feeling is that's what the Biden camp is doing and will do.
You know, well, let's talk about this real quick. What are your feelings about um, apparently Trump's plane was right outside of a Russian plane, and he just had Viktor Orban come to Mar-a-Lago before this event. Do you feel like there's this kind of connection and this another coup attempt with these foreign actors?
I am sure that Trump is already getting stuff with a playbook from Moscow, from the Kremlin,
Hmm.
from Putin, and I'm sure that Trump is talking to Putin's people on a regular basis.
Yeah,
I don't think they were behind this
I agree.
assassination attempt. No, I
To
do
me,
think
it felt like it was in regards to the election.
I do think they'll be behind the misinformation thrown out there about it. Yes. Uh, so, you know, Trump has always, in my psychic opinion, colluded with Putin, and he's continuing to do so.
Hmm. Absolutely. Yeah, and I guess there was a Saudi plane nearby too.
Well, you can't, I mean, you say, is that
I feel like
coincidence?
there were exchanges happening between the planes for sure. And with Viktor Orban, I think he just had seen Putin, and I do feel like there was messages being exchanged
There were,
from the
there
Kremlin.
were,
Absolutely.
absolutely. Um, and I see money under the table being exchanged as well.
Hmm.
Um, but I'm sure, Trump is saying, if I'm elected, you do this for me. If I'm elected, then I'll give you Ukraine. That's exactly
Hmm.
what's going on, without quite
Yeah,
saying.
and Putin did make a statement. Sorry, that wasn't the one I wanted to click on. Putin stated that Biden needs to step down because he caused this assassination attempt. Doesn't that tell you right there?
Oh, and
Yeah,
Putin is so innocent because
he's an
his
angel, right?
people, he has killed and then say they fell out a first floor window.
Yeah, they just disappear and fall out windows, right?
Fell out windows, right?
It's crazy. Oh, we have almost 1,800 people. We have 1,800 people watching. Thank you all so much.
Yay! It's pretty. That's
Do us
kind
a
of a
favor.
record.
Please hit the
That's
thumbs up. Please subscribe. Go over to Mel's channel and subscribe. Appreciate it. Is
yep.
there anything else that you want to focus on? I know we haven't done too many questions. I knew that this topic was going to cover
Well,
a
here's
good
a good
amount of
question.
it. Is there money changing hands with the Dems who are asking Biden to step down? I do feel like there is some kind of interest there, but the main thing that I'm picking up with the calls for him to step down is the fear of Trump being reelected. But there's definitely the media is definitely trying to make him look bad, and like I said, Biden's held to a different standard than Trump is, because Trump does all this, he misspeaks all the time. We don't hear about it. He talks about sharks and being electrocuted, but it's all about Biden and him being senile and not being there. So the news media there is money exchanges there. I think it's fear though too.
Well, I do think there were some people posing as Dems who
Hmm.
planted stories, who were paid to plant stories
Yeah.
about Biden stepping down, and then to influence certain people in the Democratic Party to stand up and say he needs to step down. And I don't even think those Dems who said that knew where that influencer came from, if you will.
Hmm.
That I see. But I don't think anybody's being paid off to tell Biden to step down. No.
Yeah.
And not within the Democratic Party anyway.
Hmm. Do you get a clear VP pick for Trump?
No,
I
I
think when Trump was saying that he had um, before the rally, and I think that this is why a lot of people think it's staged, that he had something big was going to go down. I feel like it was a going out to his supporters to kind of get them all excited about the VP pick. Like, am I going to announce it today? That's where I feel like that was coming from. I had always originally thought Tim Scott, but I do feel energy around JD Vance. That's
well,
my feeling behind it.
just like when Trump said, "I've got the best healthcare package coming. I'm going to announce it in 2 weeks." Nothing,
Hmm.
nothing. So I think Johnson wants to be his VP pick, but Trump is thinking, no, he'll leave Johnson as Speaker of the House, because if they can keep the House, then Trump can still control the House. That's what's going on. Well, Trump is president, he can control the House anyway.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think Johnson is going to be sorely disappointed. But whoever he picks is also going to send people the message like, wait a minute, if something would happen to Trump, do we want this person being president?
Yeah. Yeah. Ness is saying Trump uses hype language all the
Of
time in
course he
emails. That's
does.
what I
Of
was
course.
feeling from
He just gets people hyped up, gets them to suspend their critical thinking. They go on emotion, the xenophobia.
it.
It's very that is a Trump modus operandi.
Yeah. I'm feeling like it's going to be JD Vance, but I guess we'll see in a few days.
I'm feeling a positive Not that it's a positive pick, but I'm hearing a tentative yes with that.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think he's going to be a very. Trump wants somebody that's not going to take the spotlight away from him, but I don't see JD Vance being a very charismatic or very energizing um, person for that spot. I don't feel like he's going to do very well during debates or um, kind of even with his speaking. I kind of feel like he's all over the place.
Somebody says we're in a competition. Not really. We get a message and we want to let it out. So if we speak
Yeah,
to each other, we do that, and it's not a
I feel
competition.
like we're always very respectful of each other, even
We
when
are.
we disagree.
Absolutely. So
So we're having a good time.
we do. We have a great time.
You know,
I look forward to Thursdays.
me too. Well, and we've been doing it for our weekly show for over 2 years, 2.5 years now, almost 3 years. So it's been a while.
I remember when we were doing it, we had like 75 people watching or 50.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
It's
And now
crazy, right?
yeah. So um all right. Let's see. Well, this is a good point.
Uh-huh.
Water Lily says Republicans have always held fast in Canada as long as they win. It's self-party corporations that is their motto. That's true. I like that, Water
Mhm.
Lily.
Absolutely.
All right.
I'm just gonna say, and I've been saying it for a while, we all just need to, you know, I know everybody's getting affected by the news. We have this. It's gonna be, I feel, chaotic energy for the next month or two. So, everybody just needs to make sure that they're taking good care of themselves, maybe taking a break from the news or going outside and grounding. It's going to be so important because this energy is just so draining, and so many people watching are so empathic too. They really pick up on this energy. It's very overwhelming. So, everybody, please make sure that you're taking care of you. Do things that are uplifting for you and things that you enjoy, things that bring that love and that joy. And like I said, if you're starting to get really overwhelmed or getting in that fear, kind of take a step back, take a breath.
CC Ryder says, disagree with that, Mel. Democrats are panicking on their own. CC, I agree with you. They are panicking
Mm-hmm.
on their own, but they're panicking based on what other people are saying. And CC, this concern about Biden didn't start with Putin. Panicky Democrats started this. Panicky Democrats did start it. But I got a funny feeling that misinformation about dementia, the this, the that fire was fueled from the Trump side and fueled also from the Putin side. I've got a feeling.
Absolutely. Putin's got to play. He's got a part in all of this too.
Correct.
But I agree. Like I said, I feel like Democrats tend to kind of fear for the worst sometimes. Um, but there's a lot at stake. This is the
There
most
is.
important election probably in in the history of our country, the
You know,
history of our democracy.
CCM panicky as well. I think we all are.
Mm-hmm.
But my guides assure me if we get out there, if we vote, if we speak up, our democracy will prevail. And so we need to step out of the fear, let it push us forward, and stand behind our candidate, period. So
Absolutely.
thanks for giving us that, CC. I really appreciate it. And because of that, you win a free half-hour session.
Oh, nice. I'll just say too, and I said it last week. Um, for those that are afraid of Biden not being in the best health and all that, I really see Kamala really kind of coming front and center along with Biden and really working on this momentum and getting Democrats excited and kind of alleviating fears for those that think he might be a bit too old or can't last another 4 years and really kind of showing herself. Because I've always felt Kamala, um, I see her as president. I almost kind of feel like Biden may not finish out his second term, and she'll be kind of ready to kind of step in should she need to. But I see people being really excited with her too, and her really kind of getting out there. We haven't seen a whole lot of her, and we typically don't with the vice president. But I think that she's an asset to that campaign for sure.
CC, my light bulb just went on because you said panicky Democrats started this. A lot of them did. But look how panic begets panic and it just snowballs.
Mm-hmm.
Look how Trump has manipulated fear to get people in a panic, to get them to vote for him. And you see how we've normalized the abnormal because of out of control fear and panic. At least the Trump
Mm-hmm.
people have. Um, and so I think this panic needs to stop, at least on the
Yeah.
Democratic side. So,
Well, what happens when we sit in a place of fear or anger, we're sitting and attracting more things that make us more fearful or more angry.
correct.
So we're just amplifying this energy and it's consuming. You go down that downward spiral. That's why I said it's so important to make sure that we're taking a step back, taking care of ourselves, focusing on things that are uplifting, and just visualizing Biden and Kamala, taking the presidency and Democrats winning the House and Senate. It's so important to stay in that state of hope, and gratitude, and
And
push
that's
that
how
energy out.
That's right. That's how our country got in this fix, is because
Yeah,
the xenophobia spiraled out of control.
yeah,
So that's a really good point, CC. Thank you. Really, thank you for that. It kind of it raised it opened a lot of light bulbs went off. So thank you.
all right. Is there any? I've been trying to keep up with the chat, but we've had a lot going on. Is there anything else that you want to read on? We're almost at that hour mark, so we're
Well,
probably
here's
going
the
to.
good one. Let's leave it with this, with Karen Louise. Go ahead, Kevin. I'll let you read it.
I volunteer on several Democratic campaigns. Most of us want Biden to stay. About 5% want different. Same with U.S. House, about 5%. Yeah.
You have it.
Well, we've only heard from, 15, 20 Democrats out of over 200 in the House. And I think we've heard from one senator for him to step down.
And here's another good point. I think this is kind of a pep rally tonight, and I like this. Yeah. So Julie says,
I don't care what Biden says or how he says it. I care what he does and has done a lot. Absolutely.
And the Democrats need to start owning that and standing up and saying, here's what he has done.
Mm-hmm.
And what did Trump do compared to what Trump did?
Mm-hmm. Well, like I said, with this momentum and this rallying, getting Democrats excited and getting that messaging out there about, women's rights and Project 2025, I see a lot of the younger, progressive, fiery Democrats like Jasmine Crockett really kind of coming forward and kind of, matching fire with these Republicans, really kind of, speaking the truth, but not just sitting back and allowing Republicans to attack. They're going to come out and charge full steam ahead and, like I said, play fire with fire. So
that's what I see coming out as well.
Mm-hmm. Yes, Leona. President Biden will not step down. He will win. And that's what I feel. If I felt differently, I would be honest and I would say it. But my guys are very firm. Trump will not ever be president again.
Absolutely. Somebody says all good news that Trump brainwashes through repetition. What Trump does is he says things that are so outlandish that one little piece of that sticks, and he repeats that and he repeats that, so that outlandishness almost becomes normalized, and it's a dangerous.
Well, even just that, he gets an emotional response out of his call.
Correct.
And he plays on people's emotions, their fear, their anger and their hatred, and he adds fuel to it, and so they idolize him.
He causes them to suspend their critical thinking, and they go strictly on emotion, and that's how people get brainwashed. But I like this one. Sharon Ann says he's got his pick for VP. Go ahead, Kevin. You announce it.
Sharon Ann, Trump's friend Hannibal Lecter will be his VP pick.
That's a great way to end it, isn't it?
Right. Absolutely.
All right.
Well, Mel, I'm glad it seems like it kind of worked out for the best to do the show today rather than Thursday. I always say everything happens for a reason. Are we so good for this coming Thursday?
We're good for this coming Thursday. What happened tonight is called synchronicity.
Yeah.
It was Biden's speech, and now this thing with Trump, the bullet to the ear. I'm not laughing. It's not funny. It wasn't a bullet; it was a piece of shrapnel. But anyway, So yes, we're on for Thursday, and we'll see you all Thursday.
Yeah. All right, everyone. You all have a great evening. Hang in there. Like I said, breathe. It's all going to be okay. We're going to get through it.
Oh, by
And
the way,
yeah.
we've only got 9 openings for our event in September, just 9.
Oh, awesome.
So if you want to come to the event, please call my office 847-590-5411. And if we're not there, just leave a message, and Joan will get back to you and tell you all about it.
Yeah. And it's the same number if somebody wants to call for a reading. I think I have it in the description box of this video. If anybody like a reading or a Reiki session with myself, you can go to my website, kevinlovingvibrations.com, and schedule online.
And
All right,
Kevin's
everyone. Go
and
ahead,
Kevin's
Mel.
going to be teaching some healing modalities at our and talking about them at our events. So.
I wish we had more time with as many people to actually do like a Reiki class. That would be really cool. There's not enough time with it, but I'll be definitely talking, and we'll do a nice healing experience together with the group. So,
well, you can either have an hour and a half or 3 hours if you want it. So it's up to you.
I still wouldn't have enough time to actually teach a class in that amount of time.
It takes a lot. It takes days, but you can give them a taste of it. Then they can sign up.
We'll give everybody a taste, and if somebody wants to, I'm working right now on actually getting a class together for the Holy Fire Reiki. So I'm not ready to announce dates for that yet, but here probably in the next month or two, I'll be talking a little bit more about that. So, all right, everyone. We'll see you this Thursday, and you all take it easy, and we'll see you all real soon.
And thanks, Linda, for tuning in.
Yes. Bye, everyone.